Hi, my name is Claire Quast, and this will be my final portfolio for my projects and Iste standards for EDU 333 for the spring 2018 semester. First, we're going to talk about Iste. Iste stands for the International Society for Technology and Education. Iste is a nonprofit organization that serves educators interested in the better use of technology in education. Iste includes 7 specific standards: learner, leader, citizen, collaborator, designer, facilitator, and analyst. Throughout this portfolio, I'm going to discuss some of the different projects we worked on this semester that fall under each specific standard. The first standard we're going to talk about is learner. Within this standard, educators continually improve their practice by learning from and with others and exploring proven and promising practices that leverage technology to improve student learning. One tool that we use this semester that would fall under this standard are infographics using Piktochart. Infographics are visual representations of information. They include facts, statistics, and images in order to convey information. Some benefits of using infographics are that they promote critical thinking skills, creativity, and information processing skills. Some downsides to infographics are that too many choices can make designing them complicated. Too many images can clutter your information, making it hard to read and therefore defeating its purpose. Some ways that teachers could use infographics in a classroom are simply as visual learning tools. As you can see by the infographic on my screen, 65% of people are visual learners. Another way that teachers could use infographics in the classroom are to present information for students in order to have them analyze and draw conclusions on their own. And lastly, teachers could use infographics to explain or clarify classroom rules visually in order for students to understand them better. Another reason why infographics fit under ISTE's learner standard are because they help educators stay current with research that improves student learning outcomes, including findings from learning sciences. As you research information on the topic that you plan on teaching your students, oftentimes you learn new information about that topic yourself. You can then share that information with your colleagues, creating the possibility for them to integrate that information into their lessons as well across different subjects. The next ISTE standard we're going to talk about is leader. It's important that educators seek out opportunities for leadership to support student empowerment and success, and to improve teaching and learning. One tool that's especially useful under this standard is Google Drive. The search engine Google offers a tool called Drive. This tool allows people to work together on projects over the internet. Google Drive includes Google Docs, slides, sheets, and forms. Some benefits of Google Drive are that there's no need for flash drives. You can access your Google Drive documents anywhere where there's an internet connection. Google Drive also saves all of your work automatically. You can collaborate with other people on Google Drive by commenting on their work or chatting in an instant message. Some downsides of Google Drive are that uploading and downloading speeds could be affected by the number of people working on the same document at the same time. Also, when you let people access your work, they can change, edit, or take your work and pass it as their own. So be very careful what information you share with what people. Google Drive can be used in the classroom to create assessments using Google Forms, to create presentations using Google Slides, or to allow students to work together on group projects over the internet. Google Drive belongs under the leader standard because it allows educators to advocate for equal access to educational technology. Regardless of whether a student has a computer at home, with the use of Google Drive, they can access their schoolwork at a friend's house, at a library, on their cell phone, anywhere with internet access. The third standard we want to talk about is the importance of being a digital citizen. Educators are to inspire students to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in a digital world. One way to accomplish this would be to follow and to teach the very important rules of copyright law. Copyright law is very important because copyrights help creators protect their work. By assigning rights to copyright holders, the laws ensure that only originators or those who receive permission to reuse can copy, perform, or change pieces of work. As you can see by my citations, Any digital file or any image that isn't of my own creation was borrowed using Google Images. Google has a tool that allows you to view images that are labeled for reuse, which are images that are permitted to be copied and used for non-commercial projects such as this one. Within copyright law is what it's called public domain. Public domain contains works or images that are available to the public as a whole and are no longer subject to copyright laws. Ever since 1977, works can maintain their rights until 70 years after the death of their author or creator. However, as you'll notice, the Mickey Mouse image that I found under the Label for Reuse tab isn't exactly what the Mickey Mouse logo typically looks like. This is because in 1998, when Mickey Mouse was about to enter public domain, Disney had Congress extend the term of copyright law by decades. This creates a problem because now things like books, songs, movies, even news articles cannot be reused by the public without written consent from the original creator, which can oftentimes be hard to get. Another aspect of being a digital citizen is using proper social network etiquette. We need to teach our students to realize that nothing you ever put online goes away. Every post you type, every photo you send, they stay out there forever. And the decisions you make when you're posting online can affect your ability to get into the college you want or to get the job you want. We need to remind students that they need to be mindful of the things that they're posting and who they're allowing to view their personal information. The next ISTE standard we're going to talk about is collaborator. It's an educator's responsibility to dedicate time to collaborate with both colleagues and students to improve practice, discover and share resources and ideas, and solve problems. A tool we learned this semester that falls under this standard is Nearpod. Nearpod is an interactive, engaging presentation and assessment tool that can be used in the classroom. Teachers can create presentations that contain quizzes, polls, images, drawing boards, and videos. The first slide of your Nearpod could be your introductory slide. It would typically have the title of your lesson and some images that go along with it. For my first slide for the assignment we did in class, I include my name, a picture of myself, and something that's important to me that will be continued on later in the lesson. Another really cool aspect of Nearpod is it allows teachers the opportunities to add 3D models into their lessons. For example, if this was a middle school science lesson about galaxies, students would be able to obtain a better understanding of what a galaxy is made of and the objects around it by being able to click and move around a physical object rather than just staring at a picture on a page. Nearpod also offers interactive simulations, such as games, to gauge comprehension. For example, students can participate in games during the lesson to evaluate their understanding of the material. Nearpod has so many other cool features I could go on talking about for days, but for time's sake we're going to move on. Some downsides to Nearpod are that creating Nearpod lessons are just a tad more time-consuming and maybe a little bit more costly than a traditional lesson. But to me, it's all about what you want to get out of teaching these students. And I feel like Nearpod really offers that extra wow factor, that engagement factor that's really going to get students interested in what you're teaching. Another tool that would fit this standard would be QR codes. QR codes are quick response codes that take information in their hard copy form, such as on paper, a billboard, or a sign, and put that information into one place that's easily accessible by a cell phone with a QR scanner. QR codes allow students to collaborate with one another in the classroom. Some examples of this collaboration could be scavenger hunts that require students to solve problems or puzzles hidden within QR codes. QR codes can also be used as an interactive classroom calendar, where students who miss school or require more information that they may have missed during class can scan the QR code for that day and have all the resources they need. QR codes are great for collaboration because they offer students the opportunity to have real-world learning experiences within their own classroom. Unfortunately, there are some downsides to using QR codes, such as a school cell phone policy, lack of internet access at that school, and scanning glitches that come with all technology. The designer standard for ITSE requires educators to design authentic, learner-driven activities and environments that recognize and accommodate for learner variability. One tool that I believe accomplishes this is Powtoon, Powtoon can be used as an attention grabber at the beginning of a lesson or as a means to teach your material. I use the Powtoon that I created at the beginning of a lesson to engage my students by showing them what we would be talking about that day. Powtoon helps to engage both the visual and auditory learner. Powtoon allows teachers to design authentic learning experiences that align with the content and standards that they need to teach for the day. Some downsides for Powtoons are your typical run-of-the-mill grievances. There are limited options under the free version. It can be time-consuming to create, both watching tutorials and actually designing the Powtoon itself. But I think it's a well worth it tool to use in order to get your students involved in your lesson. Another cool tool for this standard is Voki. Vokis allow you to create avatars that resemble either yourself, a plant, or an animal. You can add voice to your Voki by using type to talk or by recording your own voice. Now I tried to record my own voice to this Voki, but my computer audio system doesn't seem to be working, which is clearly a downside of using this tool. Vokis can be used in the classroom in order to get students online and communicating with one another while keeping their identities private. A teacher could use a Voki as an icebreaker activity the first day of school in order for students to get to know one another. Teachers could also deliver material to students who had been absent from school via email using a Voki to teach what they had missed in class. The standard for facilitator says that educators should facilitate learning with technology to support student achievement of the 2016 Iste Standards for Students. The tool that I'm currently using is Screencast-O-Matic, and I believe it is fantastic to fit under the facilitator category. Using Screencast-O-Matic, educators can model and nurture creativity and creative expression. Teachers can assign students to create screencasts of an activity that is important to them and allow them to explain why it means so much to them. This also creates a learning opportunity to challenge students in the design process. Not only do students get experience using the tool as well, they also have the opportunity to participate in script writing, storyboarding, and creating a functional PowerPoint presentation. Some downsides to Screencast-O-Matic are voice quality, limitations based on internet access, and limitations based on the free version or the paid version. For instance, the free version only allows you to record up to 15 minutes. Our last ITSE standard is Analyst. Educators need to understand and use data to drive their instruction and support students in achieving their learning goals. Quizalize is an awesome tool for this standard because it allows educators to use technology to design and implement a variety of formative and summative assessments that accommodate for learner needs, provide timely feedback to students, and inform instruction. A downside to Quizalize is that while this tool is very interactive, it tends to encourage teachers to focus on lower level depths of knowledge. If you're going to use this tool, you would want to make sure that you're finding ways to make your questions a bit challenging in order to push your students toward deeper learning. For the example that I used for class, my questions tend to be a bit simple. But if I were to use this tool to create an actual lesson, I would make sure that my students have to use their critical thinking skills in order to come up with the correct answer. Quizalize could be used as a diagnostic assessment before a lesson in order to gauge what students already know, as well as a formative assessment after a lesson has been taught to be able to understand what students have comprehended and what might need to be retaught. Some other assessment tools that we used throughout this course were those such as Kahoot, Socrative, and Rubistar. All of these assessment tools are very important to drive instruction and reflect on learning using technology. Word clouds are another way to analyze information. For example, in a language arts classroom, a student could take a portion of something that they have read, type it into a word cloud generator, and the generator will create a word cloud where the biggest word that stands out the most represents the main idea of the reading. However, a downside is not all word cloud generators automatically do this. Some require that you choose the specific size of the words you'd like to emphasize. This completes my portfolio on ISTE standards and class projects for EDU 333. I really enjoyed this class, and I can't wait to use everything I've learned in my future classroom.